Afternoon, teacups. Welcome back to Spill the Tea. Lou, welcome back to Teacup Castle. Loads and loads and loads to talk about today. Thank goodness for that. We had a thoroughly wonderful watch along yesterday. It was actually very enjoyable. It was really, really nice to have football back. We are going to be talking about the Manchester City squad this evening. So I know obviously we have had the Rodri here we go following the result in the match yesterday. I am not ignoring it. My phone is not on silent. I am completely disorganised this morning, more so than usual, but we're here. We're here and that's what matters. So don't worry, I'm not ignoring the news about Rodri, but we did promise Mr. DJ Milkshake that we would do the squad review for Manchester City on an evening show because he's at work. Given that he is our number one Manchester City subscriber, I'm going to stick to that. So this afternoon, what we're going to be talking about, if you couldn't guess from the thumbnail, is of course Aston Villa, who have had a here we go of their own. Now, I have to change that when I'm doing the watch-alongs because the way the surround is a wee bit different and I forgot to put it back. Just half a screen above my head of blankness. Excellent, excellent work. But Villa have had, here we go, all of their own. So this afternoon show, we're going to be looking at Villa. This might be a really important one for quite a number of us. So the likes of United, who are hoping to be in a scrap for Champions League again. The likes of Liverpool, who are a little bit uncertain. The likes of Chelsea, who are going to be around there. And I think also for City, but we'll talk about them in more detail later. So this is actually an important one because while I don't know if we have any Villa fans amongst our subscribers off the top of my head, if you are, put your hand up, but they're gonna have an impact on everybody else. They came fourth last season. They had European football last season. I know it wasn't Champions League, it was the Europa League, but I mean, European football is European football. They were playing twice a week. They won the European competition that they were in. So they have done it already with 2 games a week. They're doing it with a highly experienced manager. So we've, people saying how good Arsenal are, and they are. People talking about Mikel Arteta. He's the only manager of the big teams that hasn't changed because obviously United, Michael Carrick, this is his first season. You've got Alonso with Chelsea. You've got all the changes. He changed at Spurs, Areola at Liverpool, the whole lot. But Aston Villa finished in the top 4. They were in 4th last season. Unai Emery hasn't gone anywhere. And they were in Europe last season. So it's a case of, can they at the very least maintain? If not, kick on a little bit. So we're going to speak about that. And I do think it's really important for us to look at, because I think a lot of people just gloss over Aston Villa a little bit. Oh, well, they've done it one season. They'll drop off again now this season. But will they? Because if not, it's going to take a spot from one of our teams, guys. So we need to have a look at them. But before we get stuck into all of that, let me say hello to the teacups. Hello to you guys. I see we have Daz and we have Lucky and we have Gaz and we have Paige and we have Shem and we have Rob and we have Huge. We have loads and loads and loads of teacups, and Tony is here as well. Hello to Tony. Rose is in the house, who says, hello party people, hope you are well, hope you are good too. Damien are in here as well. Oh, Damien talking about last week's news, the Newcastle Vileba. I think that's a bit of nonsense. If it happens, it happens. I think that's a bit of nonsense, if I'm totally honest with you. Who else have we got? Have I got everybody? Have I got everybody all in one go? Unbelievable. Rob has sent us the Foxy super sticker. Thank you very much to Rob for that. Much appreciated for the super sticker. Let me go all the way forward. And Her Majesty, Mama Flossie is in the house. Hello to Mama Flossie. Big reminder from Daz, we're 34 teacups away from 1,000. We only need 34 more teacups and we will have 1,000 teacups at Teacup Castle, which is just insanely incredible, like insanely incredible. So if you are new, please subscribe. I would be so grateful if you would subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please do hit the like button, lads. It does help me out and it puts it out to more people who might want to subscribe. So that would be very much appreciated. Mark has rejoined us as well in the chat. Hello to Mark. So we're doing a bit of a deep dive on the enemy. We are going to start with obviously their most recent transfer activity. Then we're going to get stuck into their squad. And Rose says, if I'm a Villa supporter, I am worried about the players they have lost. Rodgers and Tielemans being the biggest two. Well, we're going to get into that. We are going to go through what I've done with all the other teams, what I've done with Liverpool, what I've done with United, what I did with Chelsea and Spurs. We're going to go through it. We're going to look at who they have where, how many they've got, how much space they have for more players and where they're at. But first of all, let us get started with Suzuki. Suzuki, who we've been speaking about in relation to so many different clubs throughout the summer. Suzuki, who looked all but over the line for Leeds. They ended up going for Trafford. Suzuki, who was wanted by Juventus and then nothing really happened. Then he was going to PSG. The deal was done. It was here we go. Deal agreed. PSG, it was happening. And then it wasn't. So as of yesterday, Fabrizio Romano said Aston Villa are working on a deal to sign Zion Suzuki after Paris Saint-Germain move collapsed today. Aston Villa already called Parma and the players' camp to match the PSG proposal in excess of €30 million. David Ornstein then followed up with that. That was the 15th from Fabrizio. Yesterday morning then, David Ornstein followed that up to say, Aston Villa, so less than 12 hours, Aston Villa reached an agreement with Parma to sign Zion Suzuki. Deal for the 23-year-old Parma goalkeeper worth €30 million plus add-ons, potentially taking the package to 35. So 30 plus 5 in euro for add-ons. 5-year contract, which is the standard at the moment. The international is keen on the Aston Villa move throughout. Coolio. Fabrizio then obviously did the here we go on that as well. Same information, no difference to what we've just discussed really. But then obviously you have the follow on. Well, if they've brought in Suzuki, what's going to happen with Emi Martinez? And we already know that Juventus were also interested in Emi Martinez because they've been interested in all the goalkeepers this summer. So David Ornstein followed up the here we go deal done for Suzuki with Aston Villa Aston Villa receive a fresh bid from Juventus for Emiliano Martinez, and gap between valuations is now narrowing because that was why it never moved forward previously, was the costing for Juventus. Juventus are willing to pay up to €10 million, 7 plus 3, because originally they bid 7. Aston Villa want 10 fixed. Personal terms for the 33-year-old goalkeeper is no issue. Yes, we know because he's wanted out since last summer, so that was never going to be a shock. However, it didn't last very long. It didn't last very long at all. Emiliano Martinez from Aston Villa to Juventus off. Talks reduced. Price gap and the personal terms for the 33-year-old goalkeeper were no issue, but Juve were not proceeding on the deal. Aston Villa will try to find a solution, but either way, Zion Suzuki is the new number 1 at Aston Villa. Martinez will not be the number 1. And then it kept going. Juventus agreed deal to sign Guglielmo Vicario from Tottenham. Here we go. Spurs accept loan proposal with buy option, not mandatory. Vicario wanted the move and leaves Tottenham Hotspur today. New goalkeeper for Juventus. Now, it had come out a couple of weeks ago and I just never got to talk about it. This is from the 1st of August, okay? So I'm going to go back in time. The 1st of August, Fabrizio said, Fabrizio put out quotes from the Juventus manager in his press conference for pre-season. Vicario is an experienced and top quality goalkeeper. This is from the 1st of August, remember. Vicario is an experienced and top quality goalkeeper. We just need to understand why Spurs have decided to leave him out. So I'm imagining that's why they've opted for a loan in the first instance instead of a buy, because they're aware of the fact, well, if Spurs want him out, we think he's good, but if Spurs want him out, we want to know why that is. So it's one off the books for Spurs. It's one off the squad list that they need to be reducing. And it's likely, unless they see something they don't like in season, I would imagine that option, even though it's not an obligation, will potentially be activated, and they're highly likely to buy him next summer. So all good news for Spurs. But we've been talking for so long about the dominoes needed to fall. The dominoes needed to fall. We've been talking all summer about Suzuki, about Juventus, about Vicario, about Villa and Emi Martinez. We've been talking about all those dominoes falling. One of them fell, the whole lot followed. So, Zion Suzuki to Aston Villa. Vicario to Juventus. Emi Martinez doesn't want to be at Aston Villa. Aston Villa are clearly happy to sell him for 10 million. And he's definitely not going to be the number one. So Emi Martinez is probably going to go somewhere. He's going somewhere. We just don't know where yet. Even if he stays, he's not the number one. So, a lot happened. A lot happened in a very short amount of time. But those are not the only transfer talks that are happening around Aston Villa. Obviously, there was a lot of rumours in the week about Arsenal, about Konsa, about Quansah, and one of them, Konsa, is an Aston Villa player. So Ben Jacobs had put out in the week, maybe a week ago now, no, kind of in the week I think it was, Arsenal are back in talks for the Aston Villa defender Ezri Konsa, as reported on TalkSport last week. So 2 weeks in a row that was reported. Will require a significantly higher offer than Arsenal's initial proposal, which was around £30 million. It was dismissed out of hand at the time. Villa prefer to keep him, and it is expected to take a 60 million plus bid to change that. And that 60 million plus is in pounds, not euros. Now, we know Arsenal need a centre-back because we know Saliba is out injured. We know Saliba has problems with his back. And we know that being strong defensively is a really important way, part of the way that Arsenal play. Goodness me, I couldn't get the sentence out. But it's also very obvious Villa do not want to sell. Now, when we get to the squad list, that's going to make a bit more sense. Arsenal looked sensational yesterday against City. They looked absolutely fantastic. But it's not about just how you look at the start. It's about how you look in the middle. It's about how you look at the end, when you're tired, when there's injuries kicked in, when you have depth, about who else is going to be injured, how long do they take to come back, etc., etc. So I do think it's still a good idea for Arsenal to strengthen, particularly at centre-back when that's where they have somebody important missing. Don't know. Forget about what Arsenal want. I don't know, like 60 million plus to even consider letting him go. That's how far you have to go before they will stop dismissing it out of hand. So I reckon he's probably going to stay where he is, short of something crazy. Also, this is from Jacob Tanswell in The Athletic. Now, I haven't fact-checked this, so feel free to correct me if it's wrong. But this is from The Athletic. Jacob Tanswell in The Athletic. João Gomes and Brian Maggio are expected to miss the start of the season for Aston Villa through injury. Further scans will determine specific time frame, but Gomez suffered a calf strain and initially is anticipated to miss 2 to 4 weeks, while first indications suggest Maggio could be out until at least September. So the season has not even started. Villa have 2 injuries. And I'm just gonna, so he has posted it himself, Jacob, and then The Athletic have posted it as well. So I'm gonna read the Athletic one as well, but some of it's gonna overlap. So Aston Villa striker Brian Maggio and midfielder João Gomez are both expected to miss the start of the season through injury. January signing, so they've only signed Maggio in January, who had to wait until Wednesday's UEFA Super Cup to make his competitive debut. So he only made his debut in the Super Cup. Is set to be out until at least September, while summer arrival, so Gomez in the summer, is expected to be unavailable for around 2 to 4 weeks, although the time frame is yet to be determined following scans after both players picked up injuries following the loss to Paris Saint-Germain. So this young man, Maggio, literally made his debut and on his debut got injured until September. I think he's only 17 too. Yeah, he's only 17. João Gomez, unknown. 2 to 4 weeks, but see, when it's unknown like that, you don't know. So that's not a great way to start the season. And then finally, the last little bit of transfer news before we get into looking at their squad. This is also shockingly from Fabrizio. Aston Villa are set to focus their efforts also on a new right back after the Ruggeri deal being announced soon at left back. Aston Villa have an interest in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's genuine and concrete. I don't know what it is with Villa or Emery and former United players and current United players, because between Sancho and Rashford and Garnacho and Victor Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, do they want Xerxes? Would they like Xerxes? Are they short at 10? We're about to find out. Would they like to buy Joshua Xerxes? What is the story with Unai Emery and Aston Villa and former and current Man United players? They're mad for them. They love it. And I've probably forgot one or two. I don't know what it is. Don't get it. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think, would be a great signing. I think he'd be a great signing for Aston Villa. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a very, very, very good defender. Very good defender. So I think he'd be good. But we will get into that. I'm going to come and talk to you guys, because I've been nattering away there, giving you all the background, giving you all the gossip and the tea. We are going to get stuck into their squad. So before I do that, let me see what you guys are saying and thinking. We are, as Mama Flossie says, we are officially unboxed, all boxed up with the unboxing super sticker in the chat. Unbox the chat, unbox the Villa squad, unboxed hopefully a good season for Man United. So thank you very much to All Boxed Up, very much appreciated as always, my dear. Now let me see what else you guys are saying. Let me scroll. Lucky says, Lou, if Villa wants Xerxes, then they should give us Ollie Watkins. Yeah, they don't want Xerxes, unfortunately, Lucky. I'm just hoping they'll take him because they seem to like United players. Let me see. Mark is saying Maggio looked good against PSG. Like, he's 17 years of age. He's a striker. And as it said there, like, they got him early in the year. He had to wait to make his debut. On his debut, he gets injured until September. Like, so disappointing. It happens with a growing body as well. You know, he's going to get more aches and pains and be perceptible to different things. So disappointing, though. Did I watch that against PSG? I don't think I watched that of them against PSG, to be honest. So I'll go by you if he looked good. But it's just disappointing. Really, really disappointing. Shem says, supposedly, Everton are interested in bringing back Richarlison. Interesting. Bonkers is in the house. Hello to Bonkers. Vicario is a good goalkeeper. Shot stopper, but absolutely crap with both feet, says Shem. Let me see. Bear with me just a moment, guys. I just have to double check something. Excuse me, bad timing, but I just need to check this. And then I'm going to come back to your comments, but this is important. Nah, all sorted. Okay, I'm back with you. Sorry about that. So let me keep going. Bum, 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 bum. Shem says about Vicario, they said they wouldn't loan him unless there's a fixed buy on him after the loan, so he doesn't play there all season, then come back to try and sell again. Well, as it stands, according to Fabrizio and David Ornstein, it's only an option. So they've obviously compromised there. Mark reckons Emi Martinez will end up at Leeds. I don't think so. They've brought in Trafford as the number one. Emi Martinez, there's no reason for him to leave Aston Villa because he's the number two to go to Leeds to be the number two, and he won't be the number one. He will not be the number one. Leeds have signed Trafford. They've spent a lot of money on Trafford, and he's been very, very good for them in their pre-season. And I think he's better than Martinez, so I don't see him going to Leeds. It doesn't make sense. Why would he leave Aston Villa a second choice to go and be Leeds' second choice, and he wouldn't be Leeds' first choice? Leeds do need another keeper because they have lost 2 keepers this window, but I don't think it's going to be Emi Martinez. Maybe, I just don't see it. Okay, let me go forward. I was back in the archives there. Allbox Steph says Martinez, not a chance. Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe Inter Miami. From what I can tell, based on the negotiations and the stories that have come out, Martinez wants money. So he'll go wherever he can get money. That seems to be the story about Martinez at the minute. Yeah, Roz, he does make decent money. But that's his thing. He wants money. Flossie says Martinez is on the decline, but still believes he is a top keeper. I agree. I don't like his attitude. It's a bit stinky. It's really stinky. He's a bit... and I don't think he's that great either. I think he's overrated. He's another one I think's overrated. JP in the house. Hello to JP and welcome. Okay, guys. Let us have a little look. Given all of the transfer news, we'll be aware of all of the transfer news. We're going to have a little look at where Aston Villa actually are with their squad. Can they stay in the Champions League spots and take it off another one of our clubs next season? That's what we want to have a look at. So, they currently have listed on their main page for the men's senior squad, they have listed 27 players. Now, a part of those 27 players are under 20, are players that are not with them. They're listed on the page, but they're not currently with them. And then they've got under 21s, okay? So on loan, they have Zyke, Garcia, Gauci, Gesand, and Illing Jr., okay? That brings them down to 22 players. So they have 22 senior players listed on this page currently as part of their men's squad. Included there is Nedeljkovic, who is under 21, Manzambi, who's under 21, Alisson, who's under 21, Maggio, who we've just mentioned, who's under 21 and now injured. That brings them down to 18. They've only got 18 over over 21 senior players available right now, based on their website. Now, that leaves them with, so if they have 22 minus 4 is 18 and they can have 25, that means they have room for 7 over 21 players. Now, we've had the Suzuki deal done, here we go. We've had the Ruggeri at left back deal done, here we go. Okay, so that brings them to 5 spots currently available. If they also bring in Wan-Bissaka, they still only have 21 senior over 21 players, which means they have 4. They have 4 spaces left in their 25-man squad, and I think they need to fill them because, again, they're going for... I think it's always harder to maintain. It's one thing to have a good season and fly up, right? But to stay there and maintain what you've built, having lost some of your really good players in terms of Tielemans and in terms of Rodgers is really difficult. When the players that you've brought in then get injured, it gets more difficult. When you're operating in a harder competition in the Champions League versus the Europa League, it gets harder. When the teams around you are improving, bringing in new managers, bringing in new players, it gets more difficult. So I think that they need... Mark, I've not missed that they've got Garnacho on loan. Could you please have some patience? I have not missed that they've got Garnacho on loan. I've spoken about the players that have left and that do not count to their 25-man squad. Could you also please stop being rude about the players? See this Trashford and virus Garnacho. Can you stop, please? Because we're not 2 years old in this chat. So first of all, have some patience and listen to what I'm saying. I'm talking about the people that don't count. Garnacho does count, which is why I've not mentioned him. And try not to be rude. We have a conversation in here. We'll have a chat. We don't get nasty about people that we don't know. That's just not how we operate in this chat. So feel free to participate in the conversation, but not in a nasty way because it's just not where we're at. We chat nicely. We'll have a laugh. We'll have a bit of crack. We don't get nasty. It's just not on this channel. Please stop. It's actually quite irritating. So getting back to what I haven't missed. Suzuki, the here we go. Ruggeri, here we go. Wan-Bissaka is just an interest, so I'm not counting him yet. So that leaves them still with 4 or 5 spots for players that they can bring in. Now, that leaves us with looking at what they've got in terms of depth in their 11. So, we're going to start at the back, which is a goalkeeper, and then we're going to work our way forward. Okay? Now, what I'm speaking about now is the players listed on their website. Those players include Garnacho. So, Suzuki and Ruggeri are here we go. They're not officially announced, therefore they're not on their website, therefore I have manually added them in. Garnacho has been officially announced and is on their website, so I don't have to add him in because he's already on their website, which is why you didn't hear me mention him, Mark. Man United Greek fan says, greetings from Brisbane, Australia. Very nice, very nice. Welcome to the chat. Right, so let us take a look. Starting at goalkeeper, working our way forward. What have they got where? Who have they got where? We know they're looking at right back. Where else should they be looking at? So, we now know the Suzuki is a here we go. He's going to be the first team. According to David Ornstein, Suzuki is going to be the first team, first choice goalkeeper for Aston Villa in the new season. They currently still have Emi Martinez. They've also got Bizot, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But that leaves them currently with 3. And if they move Martinez on, they do have other keepers. They do have whatchamacallthems like like Dermot Mead. You know, they do have extras, but they're just not listed as part of this squad right now, which will obviously change if Martinez goes. But I think Suzuki is a big step up from Martinez, personally. Now, maybe that won't translate into the Premier League, but I think he's a step up. I don't massively rate Martinez. I think he has quite a few mistakes in him. I think he thinks he's better than he is. I think his attitude's a bit stinky. I think he doesn't actually want to be at Aston Villa. He's not fully committed to Aston Villa and hasn't been for quite some time. So I think getting Suzuki in, who's younger, fitter, leaner, has something to prove, the bit between his teeth, is just coming off the back of a very good World Cup, I think is an improvement. And then Bezo's fine. We've seen Bezo step in before last season. We've seen him a couple of times between the sticks for Aston Villa. He seems fine. Competent, no problem. But I think they've already improved their starting goalkeeper. Then you move into left back. Currently at left back, they have Maatsen. And as we know, they've got a deal done for Ruggeri. So that's going to be their two at left back. Ruggeri, that's coming in from Atletico, and Maatsen. So they have a good starting, a good backup. They're sort of solid there at left back. Then we move into centre back. They've got Pau Torres, they've got Mings, they've got Lindelof, and they've got Konsa. And that's it. And that's why I don't think that they will allow Konsa to go to Arsenal or anywhere else for that matter. Because they've only got 4, 2 starters, 2 backups. One of them gets injured. What do they do? So imagine they sell Konsa and then they're left with 3 and then somebody gets injured. So I would be very, very surprised if they allow Konsa to go to Arsenal. And I understand why they want such a big fee if they're going to allow him to go, because they're going to have to bring in a replacement. So I don't see it. If you look not at the Arsenal side, if you look at the Aston Villa side, I just don't see why they would let Konsa go. Because they've got other areas they need to work on. They don't need to create a new area for themselves a couple of weeks before the season. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. As it stands, they're fine. They've got 2 and 2. Now, what you think of the quality of that 2 is a completely different thing. Guys, I just want to say, because there seems to be something in the air this morning, can we please remember to express opinions without nastiness? We can say, I don't rate that player. I don't think that player's good enough. I think they can do better. I think they need to upgrade. We can say so many different things to criticise players. I don't want to see hate in my chat. I do not want to see hate in my chat. That's not how I roll. That's not how I operate. It's not how the channel is. I don't want to see hate. And I don't want to see nasty, derogatory nicknames for players. I don't want it. It's nasty. When we come in here, we have conversations about football. Somebody's footballing ability, what they add to a football team, what they take away from a football team. So please do get your opinions in on the topic we're discussing, which is the Aston Villa squad, the Aston Villa team, the players that make up the Aston Villa squad. Please get your opinions in on that, because otherwise it's just me sat here talking for an hour, and I mean, that's going to get pretty boring. But when you're expressing those opinions and getting involved in that chat, please don't put nastiness. It's absolutely unacceptable, and it's not something I'm going to tolerate on the channel. I don't want it here. So please don't. I don't want to see any of the nasty nicknames, and I don't want to see any of the hate. Gregory and Lucky are talking about a completely different subject. Okie dokie. Let me see. Man United Greek fan strongly dislikes Lindelof's football. He wasn't particularly popular at United. I wasn't his biggest fan. I also didn't think he was the worst player ever. I think the combination just really didn't work. What I will say is, from he's gone to Aston Villa, he played for them a number of times in defensive midfield last season. Unai Emery does seem to like really rate him. I don't know. I mean, as it stands, I just don't know if they can afford to be playing him in the midfield because they need centre-backs. What do we think, like, Pau Torres, Tyrone Mings, Lindelof, Konsa, as like a starting two and a backup two, what do we think of that? Do they need to strengthen that? It doesn't feel like scary, for want of a better word. It doesn't feel like if you're a striker going up against them, and maybe I'm just underestimating them, I don't know if I feel like, oh no, how are we going to get past that? I feel like it's something that could be upgraded. Because I agree, I think Lindelof has been better for Villa than for United, but I still don't think he's like a brilliant player. Tyrone Mings, in my head, I don't know what it is. Tyrone Mings, I just don't feel like really good. Do you know what I mean? Konsa, yeah. Torres, what do we think of Torres? What do we think of that? It just doesn't feel, they've got 2 and 2. Do you know what I mean? They've got 2 starters, 2 backups. It doesn't, and I don't mean they're not like glamorous superstar. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that, but I don't look at it as a rival and go, how are we going to get through them? Do you know what I mean? I think it's probably something for me that they need to look at upgrading at some point. I don't think it should be their focus this window, kind of like United, but I do think they probably need to upgrade on that. And again, it's why I just don't. Do you know what I mean? If they finish 4th, they're in the Champions League, they could go for 4th again, they could try and move up. I think they need a little something more. Do you know? Paige says, Mings is decent, but can go easily missing. Gregory says, has Lindelof managed to stay healthy since leaving United? Well, he played most of the games last season for Villa. I don't think he missed any games last season. We can check it. But I believe so, but I will double check it because I've not been kind of looking at that, if that makes sense. But I remember him playing a lot of games last season, so let me check and see, because obviously I don't watch all of Aston Villa's games. Let me see, we are loading. Load. Yeah, so last season, he missed 1 game. So yes. Yes, he's been completely fine. 100% completely fine. So at United, right, his last 2 seasons for United, 24-25, he missed 20 games. And this previous season, 23-24, he missed 21 games. So in his last 2 seasons for United, he missed 41 games across 2 seasons. He joined Aston Villa, he missed 1 game. So yes, in answer to your question, Gregory, since he's left United, he's been absolutely fine. And he's been playing across 2 positions. So yeah, he's properly A-okay since he's left Man United. I'd almost rather have not known that, to be honest. I felt better before I knew that. Oh dear. Let me see. Rob says, I really don't see Villa replicating last season with the present squad. Well, I will give my opinion on that when we get the whole way through the squad. So I'm not giving you a spoiler. When I get to the end of the squad, I'll let you know. Roz says, bringing in Gomez to replace Tielemans wasn't terrible, but they've not replaced Rodgers yet. No, they haven't. Got a nice price for him, just haven't reinvested yet. No, and that's one of the areas we're going to look at for them. 100% on the money, Roz. On the money. Bonker says Mings has got a couple of mistakes in him. Lovely. Luke has joined us. Hello to Luke. Welcome. Bonker says Lindelof is better for Sweden, I thought. Some players are better in international football. And how old is Villa's defence? Lindelof's maybe 27. Let me check Konsa. Konsa is... Villa's website is very slow. Konsa is 28. Lindelof, I think, has to be 27, 28. 32! Victor Lindelof is 32! When did that... What? No, I didn't know that. Victor Lindelof is 32. Right, that's a surprise. So, 32. That's crazy. I did not know that at all. Definitely wouldn't. Right, so Victor Lindelof is 32. Konsa is 28. Tyrone Mings is 33. Jesus Christ, huge. This is a great shout. I did not know this. This is, wow. And Pau Torres is 29. So Konsa is the youngest of them. So we've got Konsa 28, Torres 29, Lindelof 32, and Mings 33. Massive point from Huge. That's really old. That is really old. Okay, so they've got a really old set of defenders. If one of them gets injured, I think they don't have enough depth. I don't think they have enough depth. And when you now look at the ages of those players, if any of them get injured, they're not going to bounce back, are they? They're no spring chickens. Jesus, that could be a big deal. That could be a big deal. Right, great point from Huge. I didn't realise that. Let me see. Greek fan says, by the way Lindelof plays, you would think he's 34. He's very slow. Yes, Damien, it's an experienced backline. It's an experienced backline, all right. That's a good way to put it. Do you work in PR? Right, so centre-back, I think they don't have a lot of depth. So far, goalkeeper, I think they're fine, whether they sell or keep Martinez. I think they're fine because they'll have Suzuki and Bizot anyway, plus they'll have somebody for third choice. So that's cool. Maatsen and Ruggeri, I think that's going to be fine. Centre-backs, as we now know, are very old. Arsenal are trying to buy one of them. They definitely have mistakes and injuries between them. And if anybody gets injured, I think they're in trouble. So centre-back is probably a bit of an area for them. And the more I look at it, the more I feel like it's important. Then you go out to the right-hand side, right back, and we already know it's been reported by Fabrizio. They're concentrating on right back right now. That's who they're looking to get in as a right back. They're currently looking at Aaron Wan-Bissaka. As it stands, they've got Matty Cash, who is also not a spring chicken, and they've got this young man, Nedeljkovic. Now, he is one of their under-21s. He is listed, though, with the senior squad, and I believe has been part of their pre-season, but I could be wrong on that. But like that, he's an under-21. So you don't really want to count him. You want him to be an extra. You don't want to count him. So essentially, as it stands, at right back, they've got Matty Cash. That's it. They've got Matty Cash. So we know they're looking at right back. They definitely need a right back. Potentially Aaron Wan-Bissaka, potentially not. You know, we'll see. But they absolutely 100% need a right back. So what we're saying is, between centre back and right back, they're not looking too hot. So defensively, they're probably going to leak some goals. No, don't worry, Greek fan. And to be fair, there was somebody before you as well. It wasn't all you. Don't stress. And there's a lot of new people joining the channel because we're getting closer and closer to the season. There's more and more people joining, so there's no harm just setting out the rules of the channel as we get more and more people joining. But don't worry, there was somebody before you that was removed, so I wouldn't worry. But yeah, so defensively, not filling me with confidence, if I'm honest, if I was a Villa fan. Filling me with more confidence as a United fan, because I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. That does not look good. So then we go to the midfield. To be fair, I know Tielemans is a loss for any team, but to be fair, they're actually looking all right in midfield, kind of. They've got people. So in pre-season, he's mixed it up. He's played all different formations, but he's played a couple of 4-2-3-1, so that's just the way we're going to go with it. But he's quite fluid. Unai Emery with formation, he moves it around quite a lot. But they have McGinn, who's kind of 8-10 wing attacker. He can play anywhere. Manzambi they've just got in, who's more of an 8 than anything else, but can also play at 6. Can play at 10, but is more of a 6-8. Kamara, 6. Onana, 6. Bogard, 6. Obviously, Gomez is currently injured. He's kind of 6-8. So in terms of like 6s and 8s, defensive midfielders, central midfielders, box to box, they're pretty stacked. They've got plenty there. Even with an injury, they're totally fine. So that aspect for them, I actually think is completely okay. I don't really think they've any worries in that department. They've just so many players that can play there. And there is quite a bit of quality amongst those players as well. So not really concerned about their like midfield as such. Then you move forward and you start to look at the 10 and their wings. And that's where you start to run into to more problems. So on the left wing, they've got Garnacho on loan. So he's not even their player. They've got him in on loan. And he's the only left winger. So while I understand centre back and right back are a concern, I feel like they should be a little bit more worried about the left wing than they are. And I don't really understand why it doesn't feel like a matter of urgency. So I know I've seen a couple of people there in the chat saying, you know, Tielemans is a bigger loss than Rodgers, he's a better player, etc., etc. I don't think he is a bigger loss, not because he's not better, but because they've got other players in that position actively ready to go at a reasonable level. On the left wing, they've only got Garnacho and he's not theirs, guys. I mean, that has got to be concerning as an Aston Villa fan. So your defence is looking old, injury prone, mistake ridden and lacking depth and shaky. And the only left winger at your club is a lone player and it's Garnacho. So you might concede goals and you might struggle to score them. Your midfield's going to be unreal. But going forwards or backwards, it's going to be a little bit problematic. So I think left wing is a massive, massive area that Aston Villa need to address. Now, I understand there are other players that can sort of go out there. So John McGinn can definitely go out there. I know there are players that can play out of position. But last season they had Luca Digne, who would kind of go forward and back. They obviously had Morgan Rodgers and they had McGinn. Do you know what I mean? There was a couple of players there. They've only got Garnacho this season. I mean, I can't put into words how much of a drop-off that is. It's made my heart happy to read it. Apologies to Aston Villa fans. But as a United fan who was really starting to worry about the state of our club, reading this morning has genuinely cheered me up. And as Bonker says, Ross Barkley is another one who can play out there, but it's not his natural position. So Ross Barkley's natural or traditional position is a 10. He can also play as an 8. He's not really a 6. He can play out on the left, but it's not his natural position. So McGinn can play there. Ross Barkley can play there. But it's like us at United saying Dorgu can play left back. Dallo can play left back, but it's not their position. So in terms of their actual, that's their position, it's only Garnacho. You do then move into the 10, so we're going across. They've got Buendia in the 10, and again, they've got Barkley. That is his more natural position, and he can help out in an 8 then if needed. So, and you've got McGinn, again, can play there. McGinn can just if I don't say his name, just assume McGinn can play there because he can. But so in 10, they're all right. Buendia, Barkley can step in. They've got other players that can move more forward like that in McGinn. So I think 10 probably isn't too much of a concern from them. They're probably all right at 10. Then you move to the right wing, and they've got Leon Bailey, and they've got that young man, Alisson. But again, he is under 21 years of age. He's only 19, that wee man, Alisson. So again, on the right wing, they've got Leon Bailey. Again, you've got McGinn who can go out there. You've got other players that can go out there. But their left and right wings are crazy. Between their wings, they've got Garnacho and Bailey. Then they've got 2 10s that can play wide and an under 21 player. And it's not a lot of players, people. So do you remember when I said they have room in their squad? Their squad is only 21 players, even with the players they're already linked to. So they've got space to bring in another 4 or 5 players on top of the 2 here we goes and potentially Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They need to go and get these players because you can see it in their squad. They absolutely do not have enough players. They don't have enough players. What happens if Garnacho or Leon Bailey get injured or suspended? What are they going to do? Like what are they actually going to do? I genuinely don't know what they're going to do. I would be so concerned. If I was a Villa fan, I would genuinely be panicking. I'm panicking for them, and it's good for my club, but I'm actually panicking for them. They've got Garnacho and Leon Bailey on their wings. The backup is Alisson, who's 19 years of age. Or McGinn, who's not actually a winger. Or Barkley, who's not actually a winger. They should be really worried about this. Why are, maybe I don't know enough Aston Villa fans. Are Aston Villa fans worried about this on the internet and I haven't seen it? But I mean, I'm worried for them. And then you move to striker, where they've got that young man, Majo. Now, he's only 17. He played for them against PSG. He is injured, but obviously he's hoping to be back by September, and he is only 17, so you wouldn't be relying on him anyway. And then they've got Watkins, and they've got Tammy Abraham. So they've got 2 strikers. What do we think of that as a striker duo? Watkins and Abraham. I like Watkins. I don't mind Watkins, but I know he gets mixed reviews. And Tammy Abraham. What age is he now? He has to be a little bit older. He's 28. And not what I would call like a barnstormer in terms of striker. So, like their page says, not a big fan of Watkins. Bonkers is saying Bailey was on off for going to Norwich. They wanted a loan, but Villa wanted a buy. Yeah, I did see that. I saw there was quite a lot of rumours, Bonkers. You're 100% correct there. There was really strong ongoing rumours and talks of Bailey leaving Aston Villa. I saw those myself. Absolutely. Damien says it's a big downgrade on their wings. It's crazy. Like it's crazy. I had no idea it was this bad. I think they're going to like drop like a stone. Really, unless now we do have 2 weeks left of the window. So they may do, and they've got money. We know they've got money. So they may do a big grand finale end to the window, in which case that changes completely. But as it stands, they look really weak. They need probably a centre-back for depth. They definitely need a right back. They need a left winger. They need a right winger. And arguably, they need a striker. Now, they have room in their squad to bring in all of those players without going over the 25-man limit. And we know they've brought money in. It's about whether they will go and do anything about it. Let me see. Mohammed says they will be 6th. He thinks Villa will be fine. I don't think they will be fine, you know. Before I looked at this, I thought that. Before I looked at this, Mohammed, I thought they were going to be fine. I was like, look, they've lost 1 or 2. They've brought 1 or 2 in. They're going to be fine. The only left winger in their team is Garnacho. Their only senior right winger is Bailey. They have 1 winger on each side. Their back 4 was Konsa 28, Pau Torres 29, Lindelof 32 and Tyrone Mings at 33. Their only senior right back is Matty Cash. I don't think they are going to be fine. I don't think they're going to be fine at all. Because I think the other teams around them have strengthened. And I think that's... So I think their defence isn't particularly strong. Their attack isn't particularly strong. Their midfield looks all right. Their new keeper's very good. Left back's going to be okay. But I think they're definitely weaker. And I think other teams are stronger. Now, maybe you are correct, Mohammed. It may be the case that Unai Emery pulls it out of the bag and they have a massive end to the window and they're totally fine. You may be 100% correct. For me, I feel a little bit less worried about them as a United fan. And that tells me they should be worried. All Box Stuff says, to be honest, I get more encouraged every day for my team's chances this season by the team setups and business done by all the other Premier League clubs. All Box Stuff is loving life. With each show we do, All Box Stuff is like, there's another one we're better than. There's another one we're better than. We've done the United, the Liverpool, the Spurs. Have we done Spurs yet? We did do Spurs. And now we're doing Villa. And with each show, All Box Stuff was like, Leeds is better than this. Leeds is better than this. We're making All Box Stuff stay so much better just by doing this. Let me see. Mohammed says, Emery can work with nothing. I think he will shock people again. What I will say is if he does it, it will be a shock. But I mean, he might. I do agree with you. He's capable of a shock. I'll give you that one. Damien says, another question is, would Emery be as motivated this season considering he won his obligatory Euro competition last season? I actually think, and this is another thing actually that I would be a little bit concerned about as a Villa fan in terms of the league, Emery is a bit like Jose in terms of they don't mind making sacrifices to get the thing they want. So I think if Emery thinks he can get far and do well in the Champions League, he probably is the type of manager that if it came down to it, he would sacrifice stuff in the Premier League if he thinks it will help him get ahead in the Champions League. Now, maybe he won't. I'm sure he would prefer not to have to make that choice. And maybe I'm wrong because it's just an opinion. But I feel like if it comes down to it, I think he might focus on doing well in the Champions League rather than the Prem. Maybe he won't. It's a theory. It's a pure theory that could be wrong. But I think he might. Like, for example, I don't think Carrick would do that. There's managers I don't think would do that. And there's managers that I think would. And I think Unai Emery is quite unique in that way. He probably, I think he would, you know. Like, Lucky there is saying Aston Villa will focus on the cups this season. Allvox Stuff says, keep your eye open for a signing for Leeds that might get done today. Interesting. Man United Greek fan wouldn't mind Calvert-Lewin as a backup striker. Calvert-Lewin is delighted where he is. He's flourishing. I don't see him moving anywhere. I don't mind Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I just do not see him moving at all. I really don't. Let me scroll up a wee bit. What else are you guys saying? Rose says, I think Villa will drop to 10th or so and Chelsea will take their Champions League spot. I think that's a good shout. Let me see. What else are you saying? Paige is not a massive fan of Ollie Watkins. Says he goes missing too much. Scores 1 or 2 goals and then you don't see him for some time. Maybe he needs a new environment to sort of freshen himself up. Huge says he's too old. What age is he? Jesus Christ. So last season, Newcastle definitely had the highest average age of any squad in the Premier League. Remind me when the transfer window closes to see who that is this season, because it's definitely not going to be Newcastle. I'm starting to think it might be Aston Villa. So Ollie Watkins is 30. So Watkins is 30 and Tammy Abraham, we said, is 29. Like, they've got a lot of older players, don't they? Like, it's not a young team at all by any means. And they've a lot of gaps as well as places to upgrade, as well as places they're going to have to fill in with more players. They have a lot of work to do, you know. Not just for this season, but for the following season as well. Because as we know, you can't just, it's not advisable to do it all in one window. You need to sort of do it gradually a bit at a time. I don't know. I think Villa could be in trouble this season or next, depending on how they end this transfer window. Gregory says, why have they failed to acquire new players? Are their owners greedy clowns like at United? I actually don't know much about the Aston Villa ownership, if I'm honest. I don't know a thing about them. Aston Villa is owned by V Sports, a holding company controlled by the Egyptian billionaire Nassef Sawiris and the American billionaire Wes Edens, alongside the US investment firm Ateros. Don't know anything about them. Did they spend big last summer? Because I actually don't remember the last time Villa made like a massive signing, really. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if there's a wee pattern with the way they buy spend. So last summer, their net spend was £15 million. So no, last summer, bugger all. Absolute bugger all. They do a lot of loans. So last summer, they got Lindelof and Bezo on a free. Harvey Elliott was brought in on loan and then they refused to pay him because it would trigger his buy obligation. Jadon Sancho on loan, and we know they didn't keep him. And guess and their biggest permanent signing was £30 million. So no, they're not really big spenders. Leon Bailey was on loan last season. Obviously, they sold Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle. They sold Louis Chap, Kessler Hayden to Coventry. So no, they don't spend a lot. They don't invest a lot at all. Based on last summer and this summer, they're more about loans. Can they get you on a loan or on a free? And if you're not on a loan or on a free, they're normally not going to go for you. So Suzuki's breaking the mold completely for them. Flossie says, and this is true, Villa have been hit with a lot of fines for overspending. they just pay up and continue. Well, I don't know if they're continuing now, not in the last 2 windows, but yes, I do remember they were a part of, they're under sanctions at the moment, so they do have to be very careful. Mohammed's saying that as well, it's about the FFP. That's a very good point. They can't, because they've been in so much trouble. They're under some sort of a plan that they're not allowed to go over. I did forget about that. That's a good point from Flossie and Mohammed. What else have we got? Harold's in the chat. Hello, Harold. Flossie says, it's crazy how Dominic Calvert-Lewin has remained fit at Leeds, but was nearly always injured previously. I do think sometimes it's, as who said it earlier, sometimes it's a Paige, I think, said it. Sometimes it's about a change of scenery. Like, it can happen. We've seen it happen. Jesus, we've seen it happen at Man United. But it's sometimes a change is as good as a rest. It's a different approach to things. Yes, Mohammed. Same with Newcastle. Newcastle definitely have issues. The thing is, both teams, both Newcastle and Aston Villa, are under current sanctions and payment plans and have to be careful. But also both of those teams have brought in an enormous amount of money. Now, Newcastle have also spent a fair bit across multiple players. They probably still need more if we're looking at pre-season. But Aston Villa, like, yes, they're under sanctions, but they did bring in a massive amount of money. They don't need to spend all of it, but spend some of it. Allvox Stuff says, I told you in the chat, the best medical team is at Leeds. I mean, I can't even argue with you. Flossie says they need to get rid of squad cost ratio or PSR. It's not fit for purpose. Has it really done anything to help clubs? I don't think so. PSR definitely didn't. I'm holding my tongue on squad cost ratio because I don't know yet. This is the first summer squad cost ratio has been in, so I don't have an opinion until I see it maybe this summer, next summer. Then I might have an idea, does it actually change anything in the reality? But PSR, yeah, not great. Gregory, has anybody mentioned FFP? Gregory's asked about FFP. I don't think anybody's mentioned FFP, Gregory. SCR is the squad cost ratio. That's the new one. So that is the new one, is the squad cost ratio. That's the one I'm saying I don't know yet, because I want to see it in action. The idea, I'm assuming, is that it's supposed to be better, but as it stands, we don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do think, I agree with Flossie, the way it was originally intended to work, what it was supposed to impact, I don't think it's impacting. I don't think it's achieving the goal that it set out to achieve in the first place. So I want to see these changes. Are they going to make any difference? Is it going to be more likely to have the impact it was intended to have in the first place? I mean, I don't have a lot of faith it's going to happen. I think it's unlikely, but I want to see it first. Let me see. No, I'm pretty much up to date. Sorry, guys. I was just checking I was up to date with your chats. But that is kind of us for this afternoon show. As it stands, I don't think Villa look great on paper. I think they still have quite a bit to do in the window. I think they need a left winger. I think they need a right winger. I think they need a right back. And I think they probably need a centre back as well. And striker they could probably do with upgrading. So goals, they're okay. Left back, they're okay. 10, they're all right. And the pivot, the midfield, is okay. But in terms of across the back line and in terms of on the wings and attacking, I don't think they look particularly good in any of those departments. They have space on their squad. and they have time left in the window and they're actively working on things. So they may do more. But having looked at this, I do feel a bit less worried about Villa. I think they drop off. Yeah, I agree with Damien. Damien says lots still to be done for Villa, it seems. I agree. And they're the smallest squad we've seen so far. Like they've the least players in their squad that we've seen so far. Now maybe you guys will be right. Maybe Unai Emery will pull off a madness and do more with less. But I think it would be a very difficult job. All Boxed Up says, Miracle Man Emery is the problem. He turns a team of players into winners and in different countries. Yeah, so All Boxed Up thinking along the same lines, I think, as Mohammed there, saying, look, for a normal manager, that would be terrible. For Unai Emery, he's probably going to pull up trees. Which, look, is possible. We don't know because it's all on paper and football isn't played on paper. So we could be totally right. We could be totally right, you guys. But that is us for this afternoon show. We've got a little bit more information on Aston Villa now. I'm planning as it stands to do Man City this evening. Look at Man City squad, their business, where they're at, what they're going to do. So this evening show will be the Man City one. And then we're getting closer and closer to Thursday. So, thank you all so very much for being here, folks. Thank you to our new subscribers for joining Teacup Castle. Thank you all for hopefully smashing the like button, for getting involved in the conversation and the chat, getting your opinions in. Special shout out to Rob, to All Boxed Up, for your super stickers. Thank you both very much. Enjoy your afternoon, and hopefully I will see you back here this evening at 7 o'clock.